Continuing from previous chapter, Xiao Yin emerges from the magical beast relic. He is confronted by Huan, a rival who seeks to claim his hard-earned treasures. Facing Huan's terrifying attack, Xiao Yin let out a cold snort, raising the ancient ruler of heavenly flames in his hand. As the milky white flame around him grew increasingly violet, strands of tangible, scorching energy seeped from the void and began to coil around him, spinning furiously. With the energy's rotation, a fierce gale suddenly erupted, sweeping out in all directions. The wind was so intense that even the towering ancient trees below the demonic beast mountain range trembled slightly. Flames splitting sea, devouring ruler. With a loud shout from Xiao Yin, the originally pitch-black heavy ruler burst into a brilliant array of colors. Xiao Yin then raised the heavy ruler with both hands and fiercely struck toward the incoming sword beam. A surge of scorching, terrifying power emanated from the ancient ruler of heavenly flames, forming a 100-meters-high shockwave that roared towards the oncoming sword beam. Whoosh! 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 As soon as the heavy ruler and the beam of light collided, the beam resisted for only a few seconds before visibly weakening and fading. The shockwave continued its unstoppable advance, charging straight at Huan, who held the long sword. Huan's expression darkened. He had clearly underestimated Xiao Yan's strength earlier. Huan realized that the moment Xiao Yin removed the heavy ruler from his back, his aura had skyrocketed. Peak 3-star Do-Di. The confident smile that Huan had worn, certain of his victory, vanished in the face of Xiao Yan's sudden surge to the peak of 3-star Do-Di. How is this possible? Huan exclaimed in disbelief, staring at Xiao Yin. However, there was no time for further thought. With a cold snort, Huan infused all his fiery red Do-Chi into his long sword. From the tip of the sword, a beam even more formidable than the previous one shot toward Xiao Yin. Huan knew that facing a fellow peak 3-star Do-Di like Xiao Yin, if he didn't go all out, the outcome would be boom, boom, boom. Another wave of terrifying attacks ensued. This time, the beam of light from Huan's sword was once again shattered by the fiery shockwave. But after a moment of surprise, Huan quickly regained his composure, forming a plan in his mind. If that's the case, then he would have to unleash his strongest technique. Huan believed that no matter how much Xiao Yin might jump around, under his most powerful attack, he was insignificant. After taking Xiao Yan's terrifying attack, Huan's arm suddenly trembled. Then, he angled his long sword toward the sky, bringing it down with a sharp, piercing sound, pointing directly at Xiao Yin. Where the sword pointed, an extremely powerful dark force spilled from mid-air to the ground, instantly reducing the surrounding trees and rocks to powder. Prison bird! A thunderous roar erupted, and from the tip of Huan's sword, fiery red Do-Chi burst forth like a torrential flood. The overwhelming fiery red light, accompanied by a sharp sonic boom, sliced through the air like lightning, shooting straight toward Xiao Yin in the distance. Wherever the fiery red light passed, the entire sky trembled slightly. Huan's full-force strike was terrifying beyond measure. Xiao Yan's pitch-black eyes were almost entirely covered by the vast expanse of fiery red sword light. As the primary target, he could feel the terrifyingly fierce offensive within that fiery red sword light. However, despite this, Xiao Yin remained utterly confident. Any attack would dissipate under the ancient ruler of heavenly flames. He took a deep breath of slightly hot air into his lungs, stepped forward slowly yet forcefully in midair, and raised the ancient ruler of heavenly flames high above his head. Veins bulged on his arms like writhing snakes. In the next moment, Xiao Yan's arm trembled, and the ancient ruler of heavenly flames came crashing down. Two ferocious roars sounded suddenly, and instantly, a milky white ruler beam, 100 meters in size, shot out like a bamboo breaking through the sky. The moment the ruler beam was released, the space around it rippled like a lake hit by a giant stone. 100-meter-wide crack rapidly spread along the path of the beam on the once intact ground. The enormous 100 meters milky white ruler beam streaked through the air from the ancient ruler of heavenly flames in Xiao Yan's hand, tearing through the space around it. The thin energy spilling from the beam shattered the surrounding space. In the sky, the 100 meters fiery red sword light occupied half of the sky, while the equally massive milky white ruler beam shot forward like a crescent moon. Both contained extremely sharp auras. As they moved, the space rippled and cracks spread. The two fearsome attacks were about to collide like meteors. In midair, the milky white ruler beam and the fiery red sword light finally crashed into each other in the next instant. Yet, the collision in the sky didn't result in the expected deafening explosion. Instead, it was strangely silent, without a single sound. In the sky, the milky white and fiery red energies clashed like two differently colored liquids battling for dominance. Though the clash was eerily quiet, the space around where the two terrifying energies met became severely distorted, giving it an illusionary and eerie appearance. In the depths of the demonic beast mountain range, the quiet place echoed faintly with a slight hissing sound from the energies vying in midair. The milky white and fiery red energies resembled two massive clouds that obscured the sky above the depths of the demonic beast mountain range. Despite their seemingly peaceful clash, each sought to consume the other. Xiao Yan's gaze remained fixed on the two massive energies in midair. After releasing the 100 meters ruler beam, he appeared almost drained, his face as pale as paper. His body swayed, barely supported by the heavy ruler touching the ground. Without it, he might have fallen from midair. It was evident that unleashing the full power of the first layer of the seven-layered Skybreaker ruler had almost drained Xiao Yan of his last reserves of Do Qi. Fortunately, being an alchemist had its perks. As soon as he landed, he quickly retrieved several pills from his storage ring and began to gulp them down ravenously under Wu Huan's envious gaze. Unlike Xiao Yan, Wu Huan wasn't so fortunate. In a split second, he plummeted from the sky, looking just as worse for wear as Xiao Yan. His face was also as pale as paper, and his eyes were fixed anxiously on the two masses of energy in midair, continuously eroding and devouring each other. At that moment, both of their gazes were locked on the sky. For a while, the depths of the demonic beast mountain range seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the result of the clash between the two terrifying energy masses. The milky white ruler beam and the fiery red sword beam in the sky, continuously devouring and entwining each other, suddenly began to ripple violently, like boiling water. Then, under their gaze, the two energy masses rapidly expanded. Watching the sudden and bizarre expansion of the two massive energies, an inexplicable sense of unease crept into both of their hearts. When the expansion reached a certain critical point, the two enormous energies abruptly stopped all motion. A strange, profound glow, like a tiny speck of light, suddenly emerged. As this peculiar glow appeared, the space around them began to ripple. It seemed that in the mutual devouring of their strongest attacks, a subtle mutation had occurred, one that left even Xiao Yan and Wu Huan themselves utterly bewildered and confused. The speck of light rapidly expanded within the two energy masses. Eventually, it grew increasingly blinding, and the spatial ripples around it became even more intense. Blinding light poured down from the sky. As the celestial energies raged, the milky white and fiery red energy masses could no longer withstand the chaotic energy fluctuations. Suddenly, with a thunderous explosion, a terrifying storm swept out from midair, shaking the very fabric of space wherever it passed. Boom! 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 The terrifying milky white ruler beam and fiery red sword beam finally exploded in a burst of fury. Ripples spread outward from the point where the milky white ruler beam and the fiery red sword beam met, expanding in all directions. The once silent demonic beast mountain range erupted into chaos. Angry roars and cries echoed from all directions. Within the demonic beast mountain range, Xiao Yan's figure swiftly retreated. As he moved back, a delicate jade bottle appeared in his hand. He quickly downed the exquisite pills within it. The back-to-back use of the angry Buddha lotus flame and the fearsome first layer of the seven-layered skybreaker ruler had taken a substantial toll on him. And to top it all off, he had also utilized his soul power to conjure Netherworld Heaven's wrath. Taking advantage of Wu Huan's focus on defending against the terrifying ruler beam, Xiao Yan had secretly unleashed the attack, detonating the power of the 100 meters ruler beam. During the fierce battle, Xiao Yan's unexpected Netherworld Heaven's wrath had struck Wu Huan's soul viciously, causing a momentary lapse in his senses. This lapse prevented Wu Huan from escaping the center of the explosion, dragging him into the most destructive zone. Even after such a series of attacks, a true 4-star Do Emperor, caught off guard, would undoubtedly be heavily injured. The combined might of the angry Buddha lotus flame, Netherworld Heaven's wrath, and the first layer of the seven-layered skybreaker ruler, Xiao Yan knew all too well, was terrifying. One attack targeted the soul, while the other two possessed devastating, destructive power. Together, their combined force was unparalleled. The storm, like a natural disaster in a void space, unleashed a terrifying heat and destructive shockwaves. Even Xiao Yan dared not let himself be caught up in them. Though the seven-layered skybreaker ruler and angry Buddha lotus flame are extremely powerful, Wu Huan's strength is also formidable. And there's something strange about him. It might not be easy to kill him, Xiao Yan thought as his figure rapidly retreated, his eyes flickering with urgency. Roar! Just as this thought crossed Xiao Yan's mind, the massive flaming storm in the distance suddenly shuddered violently. Its rotation gradually slowed, and then an enraged roar filled with murderous intent echoed from within the flaming storm. He's still alive after all. Hearing the furious roar, Xiao Yan's heart sank slightly. Trying to kill a peak 3-star Do Emperor in a single blow was indeed somewhat wishful thinking. After all, although Xiao Yan himself was also at the peak of the 3-star Do Emperor, he hadn't had the chance to stabilize his realm since his breakthrough, making it challenging to deal with Wu Huan. Bang! Shortly after the roar, a giant claw, dozens of meters in size, emerged fiercely from the storm. Following it, a figure, battered and bloodied, forcefully flew out from within the fiery storm. Bloodshot eyes filled with venomous hatred stared daggers at Xiao Yan from afar. The bloodied figure was none other than the once majestic Wu Huan. Now, he appeared incredibly disheveled. His once tall and imposing form was drenched in blood like a stream, with deep wounds crisscrossing his body like trenches, revealing ghastly white bones. Clearly, though he had survived the terrifying forces of Netherworld Heaven's wrath and the seven-layered skybreaker ruler, it came at a great cost. You little bastard, Dot! Wu Huan's face contorted with rage as he coughed violently, spewing blood from the internal injuries inflicted by the terrible forces. His arm transformed into a massive energy palm, which he swung ferociously toward Xiao Yan's head. Xiao Yan could sense that Wu Huan was at his limit. This attack was far weaker, and with a casual wave of his hand, he easily dispersed it. Thanks to the effects of the pills, Xiao Yan had recovered a portion of his strength. Despite the numerous wounds of varying sizes on his body, he slowly advanced towards Wu Huan's position. Given the circumstances, there's no point in letting a tiger return to its mountain, Xiao Yan muttered under his breath. Be careful, Xiao Yan. Something doesn't feel right. The Golden Dragon King's voice came, watching Wu Huan closely. As Xiao Yan cautiously approached Wu Huan's bloodied figure remained sinister, his eyes glaring fiercely. It seemed something was lurking, waiting to be unleashed from his forehead. What is this? The sudden change caught Xiao Yan off guard. He quickly regained his composure, but just as he was about to dodge, a deep, dark beam of light shot from Wu Huan's forehead. Xiao! The dark beam of light shot out, reflecting Xiao Yan's shocked expression. He saw that there was something on Wu Huan's forehead. It's a blood curse! The Golden Dragon King's voice exclaimed in shock from within the ring. Xiao Yan frowned deeply upon hearing this, clearly unfamiliar with this so-called blood curse. What exactly was it? To think we'd encounter a blood curse in this small Wu city. The extraterritorial evil clan's infiltration runs deep indeed. The Golden Dragon King spoke in a voice filled with ancient wisdom. Master Ancestor, though I don't know what this blood curse is, I am a disciple of Master Tuasha, and also your grand disciple. That will never change. Xiao Yin smiled slightly, noticing the hesitation in the Golden Dragon King's expression. Ha! Hearing you say that puts my mind at ease. The extraterritorial evil clan has been suppressed and sealed outside the Great Thousand Worlds, but they constantly try to erode our world. That's why there are greedy humans in the Great Thousand Worlds who pledge allegiance to them. The blood curse is one of their means of control. Through this curse, they grant a secret method to those who serve them, enhancing their strength. However, the cost is severe. Once the curse is fully formed, it greatly enhances power, but the side effects are equally terrifying. Those cursed are bound to serve the extraterritorial evil clan for life, for eternity. Even their souls are enslaved. But in return, they can receive what they desire, be it great power or other things. However, ultimately, they can't escape being devoured by the extraterritorial evil clan. Look at the rune on Huan's forehead. It has 3 blood streaks. The blood curse is divided into 7 levels. Levels 1 and 2 are the most common. Levels 3 and 4 denote a certain status. Levels 5 and 6 are trusted by the extraterritorial evil clan. As for the 7th level, it hasn't appeared in a long time. The bearer of a 7th level blood curse is near the peak of Dodi, holding a significant position even among the extraterritorial evil clan. The Golden Dragon King explained slowly, his gaze fixed on the tricolored blood curse on Wu Huan's forehead. Who would have thought Wu Huan possesses a tricolored blood curse? This means his family holds some status within the extraterritorial evil clan. All the more reason he cannot be allowed to live, Xiao Yin said, recovering from his brief shock. His doqi slowly enveloped his hand as he approached the now nearby Wu Huan. Xiao Yin, do you think you can kill me so easily? Too naive. Ha! Wu Huan, on the brink of death, sneered at the sudden fiery hand coming towards him, showing no fear despite his grim appearance. As Wu Huan spoke, the tricolored blood streaks on his forehead seemed to sense the deadly threat. A thick, dark light surged out. The black light enveloped Wu Huan's severely injured body, and at a speed visible to the naked eye, his wounds began to heal. Despite Xiao Yan's strong foundation, the recent battle had taken a toll on him. He hadn't recovered to his peak, and his seemingly powerful hand attack was effortlessly dissolved by the dark light surrounding Wu Huan. Retreat immediately. This demonic energy isn't something you can handle right now. One wrong move, and you'll be in big trouble, the Golden Dragon King urgently warned. Hearing this, Xiao Yan quickly put some distance between himself and Wu Huan. A twisted smile appeared on Wu Huan's face. The dark doqi slowly repaired his near-death body, and his internal doqi also recovered slightly. He looked down at Xiao Yan, clearly having underestimated Xiao Yan's strength this time. However, he was fortunate to have the power of the blood curse. Otherwise, he would have been in dire straits. Return! Seeing the vast dark light repair his body, Wu Huan shouted. The dark doqi then slowly receded back to his forehead. Having done all this, Wu Huan reflected on the recent battle. Despite his prolonged fight, he had been at a disadvantage and almost perished here. A sense of retreat arose in his heart. The reason he dared to challenge Xiao Yin initially was partly because Xiao Yin was a wanted man by that faction, and he possessed a tricolored blood curse and a great deal of confidence in his strength. At times like this, with Wu Huan's vengeful nature, he naturally wanted to strike when Xiao Yin was down. However, he hadn't anticipated that the current Xiao Yin was entirely different from the one he had seen during the earlier ambush. The endless array of techniques left Wu Huan feeling uneasy. It seems I can only retreat for now. I imagine the fortunes in this ruin were also obtained by him. But since he killed and absorbed the soul power collected by Zuo Shi, that faction will certainly trouble him. This will save me from having to make another move to kill him. With this thought in mind, Wu Huan finally decided to stop fighting. He glanced at Xiao Yan, who seemed ready to charge again, and quickly retreated, aiming to disappear into the chaotic depths of the demonic beast mountain range. Where do you think you're going? However, just as Wu Huan stepped back, a cold voice suddenly sounded behind him. At the same moment, a terrifyingly intense blast of hot air followed. The sudden attack made Wu Huan's expression change. Instinctively, he turned swiftly, his palms covered in fiery red dou qi, quickly meeting the oncoming force. Bang! 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 The fierce energy storm exploded at that moment. Wu Huan, caught off guard, felt a tightness in his chest and was forced back more than 10 meters. Quickly looking up, he saw a lean figure with a heavy ruler on his back standing where he had just been pushed back. Xiao Yan. Seeing the figure, Wu Huan gritted his teeth in frustration. Even though Wu Huan possessed a tricolored blood curse, he knew all too well that using its power meant sacrificing his future. The thought of being forever at the mercy of those evil beings made Wu Huan extremely uneasy. Xiao Yan's expression was emotionless. The milky white flames swirling around him made him look like a god of fire. His steps moved steadily through the void, advancing towards Wu Huan. Damn it, Xiao Yan, don't push me, or else. Seeing Xiao Yan's intimidating demeanor, Wu Huan's eyes narrowed, his voice cold. Xiao Yan's lips curled into a sinister smile, and vast amounts of milky, white dou qi rapidly gathered in his palm. With your current strength, which hasn't even reached mid-stage 3-star Dou Emperor, you think you can kill me? Wu Huan laughed angrily. Just as he was about to strike first in a desperate gamble, a fierce gust of wind suddenly came from behind him. His expression changed, and he quickly turned to face it, his palms moving swiftly to create an impenetrable net of energy in front of him. Bang! 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 Xiao Yan didn't hold back. Each swing of his fist produced a sharp, ear-piercing sound of wind being torn apart, causing the space to shatter, revealing dark cracks. Bang! 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 Facing Xiao Yan's ferocious assault, Wu Huan secretly cursed, his figure constantly retreating. Xiao Yan's current strength almost completely overwhelmed him, leaving him barely able to defend. If this continues, I'll eventually fall into Xiao Yan's hands. It seems I can't keep this up any longer. Damn brat, remember this? You'll pay for it sooner or later. Wu Huan cursed in his heart. With a sudden burst of power, he forcefully repelled Xiao Yan's attacks and pushed off the void with his toes, his body shooting backward. As he rapidly accelerated through the air, Wu Huan had just breathed a sigh of relief when a sense of danger suddenly surged from the depths of his heart, causing every hair on his body to stand on end. Netherworld finger, netherworld palm. Just as the sense of danger engulfed Wu Huan, a cold, faint voice echoed beside his ear like a ghostly whisper, bringing with it a chilling breeze. Not good. Sensing the movement behind him, Wu Huan's face turned deathly pale. Xiao Yan's speed was far beyond his expectations. Bang! Reacting quickly, Wu Huan tried to muster the remaining dou qi within him. However, before he could fully form a defensive shield on his back, a palm-sized milky white handprint and fingerprint gently landed on his back. The terrifying force surged out like a violent river. Boom! 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 Xiao Yan's attack pierced straight through Wu Huan's back. Cough, cough, cough! A wave of weakness washed over Wu Huan as he looked down at the fist-sized hole in his chest, with blood flowing out like a small stream. It's time to end this. If you've allied yourself with the extraterritorial evil clan, then I'll send you to hell. Although Xiao Yan had never seen the true form of the so-called extraterritorial evil clan, he knew from his master, the Golden Dragon King, that they were heinous beings. Therefore, he showed no mercy towards Wu Huan. Raising the heavy ruler in his hand, he channeled his nearly restored dou qi and swung it viciously towards where Wu Huan lay. Now both were heavily injured, and this strike would be enough to kill Wu Huan. The ruler beam from the ancient ruler of heavenly flames slashed ferociously toward Wu Huan's position. Wu Huan struggled desperately, but his severely wounded body could barely move. He could only watch helplessly as the massive ruler beam, several tens of meters long, bore down on him. Wu Huan gritted his teeth, a look of determination flashing in his eyes as he prepared to use his final resort. Just as the massive ruler beam neared the gravely injured Wu Huan, a familiar presence suddenly appeared before Xiao. Clang! Clang! A black chain appeared directly in front of Wu Huan, instantly blocking the incoming ruler beam. As expected of an emperor-tier alchemist, your soul power must be quite delectable. A sinister laugh came from beneath a black cloak. Soul Clan? Xiao pupils contracted sharply as he stared intently at the figure in the black cloak standing next to Wu Huan. He could clearly feel the same bloodline power emanating from this figure as those from the Soul Hall on the Do Chi continent. Damn it! There's actually a Soul Clan member on the Do Di continent. The moment the figure in the black cloak appeared, Xiao immediately recognized the dark chain in the air, a signature technique of the Soul Hall on the Do Chi continent. But how could the Soul Clan still exist in the higher plane of the Do Di continent? And they were exactly the same as the Soul Clan on the Do Chi continent. Did Father send you? Wu Huan's eyes, filled with determination, regained their calm. Regardless, as long as he didn't unleash the full power of the tricolored blood curse, he wouldn't become demonized. You still have a use. It's not your time to die yet, the figure in the black cloak replied coldly, glancing at the gravely injured Wu Huan. You know too much. This place will be your final resting ground. Turning his gaze toward Xiao, the sinister voice from beneath the black cloak made the surrounding space tremble slightly. Clang! Clang! As the cold words fell from the figure in the black cloak, countless dark chains, forged from some unknown material, shot out from the black mist, crisscrossing and intertwining before slamming down where Xiao stood. The chains rattled, sealing off all of Xiao escape routes. Damn it! Xiao cursed under his breath. The strength of this black-cloaked figure had likely reached the peak of 4-star Do Emperor. Xiao would have difficulty resisting even at his peak, let alone in his current severely injured state. Master Ancestor, it looks like it's time to fight to the death, Xiao said in a low voice. Don't rush. Hold on a little longer, the Golden Dragon King replied, clearly satisfied. Experiencing such intense battles was incredibly beneficial for stabilizing Xiao strength. Boom! 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 Facing the encircling chains, Xiao could feel the cold, malevolent energy emanating from them. He unleashed his remaining strength, his thin body struggling fiercely to break free from the chain's confinement. Milky white flames continuously surged from within him, burning the dark chains. The milky white flames, formed from the fusion of 23 types of heavenly flames, clung to the chains, emitting countless ghastly, shrill screams. Wisps of black mist poured from the chains, desperately resisting the flames. The moment the black-cloaked figure appeared, Xiao knew that today would be a fight to the death. His ring glowed slightly, and he quickly swallowed several high-grade pills as if they were free. A drop of blood, containing terrifying power, was instantly enveloped by the milky white flames on his fingertip. It was the essence blood he had obtained earlier from the bloodthirsty demon dragon lizard, capable of summoning the bloodthirsty defensive shield. Even against a peak 4-star Do Emperor like this black cloak figure, it could withstand one strike. Crack! Under the fierce struggle of the milky white flames, some of the dark chains began to crack, small fractures forming on their surfaces. From the cracks, black mist swirled, and faint, sinister faces emerged, looking incredibly eerie. Had Xiao been at his peak, he might have had a chance against the black cloak figure. However, after leaving the ruins and absorbing the energy of the Yin-Yang heart, he hadn't had time to stabilize his realm. Coupled with the fierce battle against Wu Huan, he was now struggling to cope. Sensing the small cracks on the chains, the black cloak figure suddenly increased his strength. Wu Huan's expression also changed slightly. He had indeed underestimated Xiao Yan's strength earlier. But with the presence of his clan member before him, and considering that Xiao Yin was outnumbered, even if Xiao Yin had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't escape today. Fine! With a fierce shout, the black-cloaked figure's hand sign changed, and a thick, viscous black mist suddenly surged out from his sleeve, transforming into countless sinister souls. The souls let out pitiful wails as they poured down toward the already trapped Xiao Yin. Bang! 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 These malevolent souls, shrouded in black mist, were instantly incinerated by Xiao Yan's milky white flames upon contact, turning to nothingness. However, their numbers were terrifyingly vast. Thousands upon thousands of souls, their minds controlled by the black mist, rushed toward Xiao Yin like moths to a flame, driven by a suicidal frenzy. Watching the countless wailing souls turn to ashes in Xiao Yan's milky white flames, Huan's face darkened slightly. These Soul Clan members were indeed ruthless, using souls as cannon fodder in such a cruel and inhumane manner. These bastards, Xiao Yin muttered through gritted teeth, his face livid. Despite his best efforts, it was clear that the black cloak figure had not yet exerted his full strength. Otherwise, given Xiao Yan's current condition, he would have been in grave danger. Yet even so, Xiao Yan found himself in a dire situation. Thinking of fighting to the death? It's too late for that now. Seeing Xiao Yan enveloped in a blood-colored defensive shield, the black cloak figure let out a sinister laugh. With a wave of his sleeve, strange black mist rapidly surged from within him, forming a dark cloud in the sky. Even the sunlight was blocked out, plunging the area over the demonic beast mountain range in a sudden darkness. The black cloak figure's move darkened the sky, a display so overwhelming that even a peak 4-star Do Emperor would be shocked. This power was truly terrifying. As the black cloud swirled, the black cloak figure seemed to vanish into thin air, as if becoming invisible. In an instant, the entire sky fell into an eerie silence. In such a chilling and uncanny environment, even a 4-star Do Emperor would feel uneasy and restless. A strange, cold wind quietly drifted by. Xiao Yin, his entire body enveloped in thick, milky white flames, suddenly narrowed his eyes. He quickly spun around and unleashed a fierce punch into the empty space behind him. As his fist moved, the surging soul power surrounding him followed suit. His withered fist seemed to shake the very space itself, carrying an immense, unstoppable force that smashed forward. Boom! Where his fist struck, a dark figure bizarrely emerged. As their fists collided, the ripples of their energy spread out in all directions, sending rumbling, thunderous sounds across the sky. As their fists crossed, the two figures disappeared again under countless gazes, only to reappear 100 meters away in the next instant. For a moment, thunder rolled across the sky, and silhouettes flashed rapidly. Each time a figure appeared, the fierce collision of their immense power erupted with a thunderous explosion, causing countless hearts below to tremble in fear. Above the sky, the black clouds rolled, and occasionally, when the energy fluctuated, a crack would open in the thick layer of clouds, allowing a beam of sunlight to pour in. Yet even the sunlight, at this moment, felt devoid of warmth. Bang! 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 The bloodthirsty demon dragon defensive shield around Xiao Yin shattered at this moment, and his Do Qi was nearing exhaustion. It seems the heavens are not on your side. Prepare to die. The black-cloaked figure's hand gesture shifted, and the massive chains imbued with terrifying power surged toward Xiao Yin, aiming for a lethal strike. Just as Xiao Yin was about to face the attack, a hearty laugh suddenly echoed from behind him. A terrifying gust of wind instantly neutralized the chain's attack with ease. This is someone my girl wants to protect. It's not your place to interfere.